I finished designing my tile. So what I'm going to cut out is everything that's in the marker. Out around here is going to be clay, and the S part is going to be clay, so I'm going to carve out the background. So some of the tools that we have to use, we have the needle tools, and I also have the dowel rods that look like a pencil, but it's not. It's just a dowel rod. And we've sharpened them so you could use it kind of like a pencil. We're going to use this to draw out your design so you can kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like. And this is a great tool to use because we can draw pretty lightly. And if you feel like you messed up on something, you can smooth it out and redo it so you're not committed to what the design is when you do that. We'll zoom in just a little bit. So I'm going to get the edge here because I know I need that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And then I'm going to draw the S. So I'm going to do this exactly the same way that I did on my drawing. I'm going to lightly put in the S. I'm going to have it come through here. And then I'm going to go out around it so that I have that clay sticking up so I know what I want to cut out. So I'm going to go around my design, and I can do this a little bit deeper because I'm pretty sure that's where I want it. And out around here. When in doubt, make your design bigger. Some people do it kind of small and then they want to start over, which is fine. That's why we do it this way. Okay, and if something didn't quite turn out, I can wipe that out and restart it. And then you can wipe out your original design so you can get a feel for what it'll look like. And I think I'm okay with that. Some of the tools we have, one is a loop tool, and there'll be two different ends to this. And it has a sharper edge right through here, so that's great for cutting through the clay, like that. There's also some wooden tools and plastic tools. They have different shapes on them, great for different types of things. So this one's actually good for if you need to smooth something out because it has that rounded edge on there. I have these that are great for cutting, and they come in different sizes, like I said. So if you have a place that's maybe like the size of this S, but you want to carve that out, you could find one of these tools for the size that you need. So be sure to look around, see what other people are using. You might need to borrow them. When you're cutting, try to only go about halfway. So my tile here, maybe I'll only go to about here. You can go a little further than halfway. We don't want to carve all the way through. If you do though, we're going to slip and score that shut. So I'm going to carve a little bit, and we'll pretend that I carved down too far. I'm getting carried away. And you can just use your newspaper to do this on. Then making a pile of clay over here that I'm going to put back at the end. Remember, we're not going to waste any clay. We're going to put these back either in the reclaim or in the big bucket. This clay is pretty wet. It could go back in the big bucket. You don't have to worry about what the bottom looks like, just what the sides and the top of your design. So the first thing I do is get things carved out pretty close to where you want them. Get a majority of that cleaned out. And then you can go back in on the side. So maybe a different day. Once the clay dries a little bit, it's a little easier to smooth. You can smooth up this part. Maybe I would do that later. And also what it looks like right here. So I would do one day, kind of carving that out, fix it up the next day and smoothing out the edges. If you accidentally carve too far, so say, whoops, I can see newspaper right there. We're gonna go ahead and get this slip. Remember, this is liquefied clay. Okay, it's really wet. It's kind of like a paste. We're going to slip and score that. So I'm actually going to make the little hash marks in here. And this clay is pretty wet, so it should stick relatively well. And then choose a piece of clay that you have here, and I'm going to slip and score that too. Get some slip on there, and go ahead and push it down in there. Try really hard not to make new air bubbles. Just smooth that down in there. You can check the bottom, see what that looks like for you. If you feel like you have an air bubble in there, just take your needle tool and poke, like that might be one right there. And what we can do is smooth that over like that. So there's a teeny tiny little hole that would let the air out if needed, but it doesn't go through to this side, so we should be okay. If you have questions on that, just let me know. When you're done with this, you want to be sure to put your full name on the back. And I would put the year, because it's always fun to see the year. Be sure you're not poking all the way through. So if you know where your clay is that you didn't carve the background out of, that would be a great spot to do that. Okay, and you could just put the year on the back there. And tomorrow when you get this out, you might need to clean that up just a little bit, because sometimes the little booger spots fill in where you just carved. So you'll have to clean that up later. Okay? If you have any other questions, be sure to let me know.